Well, good morning. It is, about 11 minutes after 2. We're leaving the JBS plant in Greeley. As you can see, we got a little bit of winter weather this morning. Not too bad. My seat is wet, dang it. Back part of my seat. Because when I opened the door, a clump of snow fell down and it fell inside. It would make my behind wet. I don't like having a wet behind. To South Sioux City, Nebraska. Yes, I do a bunch of those. We're supposed to start getting a bunch of them out of Cactus, Texas here pretty soon. That's the rumor anyway. Don't know if it's going to happen or not. At first they were going to come out of Garden City, Kansas, directly from Empirical. But then Empirical Food said, no, we're going to run them down to Cactus and then do whatever they're going to do to them down there. And then send them on to South Sioux from there. So I don't know. It's not my circus, nor is it my monkeys. Well, I guess it is in a way, but there you go. Just blow that light, man. I mean, it's red, but, just blow it. I mean, it was steadily red. It wasn't even like a little bit red. It didn't like just change. No big deal. That red light's for the rest of us, right? It's not for you. I mean, they didn't even slow down. They didn't even check to see if maybe somebody was coming. They just blew it. Now they're going down our street down there. Probably a UPS worker. UPS has a place down there. That's crazy. I could see if it turned yellow, red, and they're like, okay, I don't want to try to stop, I might slide. No, that thing is steadily red. If you hear that squeaking, sounds like plastic, I've got a case of water sitting on top of another case of water that I bought at the grocery store yesterday during my break. And it's going to squeak and make noise. It's an old habit I got into when I was driving an oil field. I always carry plenty of water. I think I got a set of duals here. I can't tell. Tell if they're turning or not, dang it. That's going to irritate me. Yeah, they're turning, okay. I was going to say, it's not really cold enough. right here and get out real quick and check, because it's going to bug me until I'm sure that those axles are turning. Although they look like they're turning to me. But I can't tell. We don't have delineators on these things. I'll be right back. Okay, we're good. I just wanted to double check because it's not that cold. It's in the upper 20s. But, I mean, it is still below freezing. This road is slick. And I could see the ones on my left when I pulled out of the plant because I had to turn left. And, but I couldn't see the ones on the right. And we don't have delineators on here. I was after them last time I worked here to put some, either put delineators on the tires or at the very least, paint, you know, some yellow stripes on them, on the outside tires. Because I've picked up 2 trailers this year so far that had a set of tandems drug. Now, I don't know where they did it. It hasn't been that cold this winter, but they did it somewhere. A lot of you guys, you know, will say, well, you know, if you're paying attention, man, when it's dark and these black tires, it's sometimes hard to tell. That's why a lot of companies put delineators on their tires. That's what most companies in Alaska got, delineators on their tires. And believe me, those guys know all about driving in winter weather. Even if they don't run the haul road, just running back and forth between Fairbanks and Anchorage. They know how to drive in winter weather. They know about, you know, locked up brakes. It happens. Especially, like I said, you know, when it's dark like this. It's not difficult to do. But I hear some guys in some of these Facebook groups, you know, the Billy Big Riggers, you know, all there's, you know, if you're paying attention, that'll never happen. Yes, it will. Yes, it will. It can. Is it preventable? Yeah, it is preventable. I'm not denying that. But it's not difficult to do. I've done it twice. Once down here and once in Alaska. To be fair, in Alaska, I had a set, 2 flatbeds loaded. So I had 33 tires on the ground. And I tried to look as I pulled out of the yard in Fairbanks best I could. And I thought I saw them all turning. And there was one set on the converter dolly that was froze up. And I didn't realize till I got out on the highway and I felt the resistance. And I said, uh-oh. Got a set, you know, that's froze up, I bet. And I pulled over, and sure enough. And I'd get up under there with a hammer and bust them loose. I didn't drag them down to the cords, but they needed to be replaced. I mean, I went on down to Anchorage with them. But, they needed to be replaced after that. Now here comes a one-way. All right, he's not even plowing. There's not much to plow right here. It's just slippery because it isn't very cold. And this is the issue with snow, especially this time of year in the western half of the country where we haven't had a lot of cold weather. Now, we're starting to, next week it's supposed to be down close to 0 at the house. And I don't know what it's going to be here, but But when you have these, it's been warm. It got up into the low 50s today or yesterday. And like I said, it's in the upper 20s now. So it's been warm. And then you get snow on top of that, and it just turns to ice. The roads get really slick. Compared to, say, dead of winter Alaska, and the temperature is minus 40, and the high is like minus 20. You know, you got a good solid powdery snow there. I'm not saying drive like a maniac on it. I'm just saying it's less slick. You know, same with the Dalton Highway. The worst part of the Dalton Highway is transition period, spring and fall, when the temperatures are kind of up there a little bit. Dead of winter, it's great, man. It's minus 40, 50, 60 up there. That snow's just a dry powder. You just blow right through. It's like driving through, you know, like a dirt road or something. You just blow right through it. You also have rock tires that have been siped, so, you know, you've got the equipment for it. They put decent tires on these trucks, I gotta say. They don't put those slick drives on there like a lot of companies do. I see a lot of companies do that, even northern companies, because they're trying to save fuel, and they'll put these slick drives on there, and that's alright if you want to do it in the summer and then change them out in the winter. But if you're going to run those year round, no, that's no good. I've seen guys, you know, stuck, just spinning, you know, on just a little a patch of snow. Waited till later in the morning, but I want to get out of here now while there's not hardly any traffic. And all the roads I'm going to be on between here and the interstate, they plow overnight. So, because some back roads, they don't plow overnight. Till, what is it, drop time, 6 p.m. I think. Yeah, to be in South Sioux. That's under an 8-hour drive from here. I got my hours back, and as soon as I did, I was at the plant. The plant's less than 2 miles from our yard. take it easy, period, but I don't want to get caught having to try to stop if it changes on me. Driving in snow, I get it. Personally, I prefer snow over, say, fog. Like, I can see, what's ahead of me, whereas in fog I can't, and I don't like that. I mean, would I prefer it to be a nice, dry road? Yeah, it'd be great, but if I had to make a choice, I'd rather drive in snow than fog, as long as I can see. I used to make many trips across Wyoming overnight in the snow. I've told those stories. This storm went. Is being on a busy road in the snow. Now, these lights here don't change usually unless there's a train. There's a set of tracks right here. Saying was I don't like being on a busy highway in the snow, because a lot of truck drivers, and I never understood this, they'll bunch up when the road is slick. Like they'll run nose to tail, more so than they will when the road is good. Right? They will just run, all of a sudden they'll get into a bunch. And that's when you have these massive pileups, because one guy in front does something stupid, and the guy behind him can't stop in time. And so they all just smash into each other. And a lot of guys used to call me super trucker and all this and that. I would, if I ran up on a bunch like that, or I saw people were starting to bunch up around me, in front and behind, I would get out and I would just speed up a little bit and ease on around everybody and get up by myself. And a lot of guys would get on the radio, oh, I'm super trucker, whatever. I said, no, I'm not being a super trucker. be in y'all's mess when somebody messes up. You know, y'all all bunched up right there, man, and that's not good. But they'll do it every time. Sugar, and I picked up a load of sugar. They started getting snow, and I knew it was coming. They were talking about it, so I'm like, okay, I got to get, you know, across the river, which I was going to cross in Baton Rouge. I got to get across the river because they have no equipment at all in South Louisiana for weather. They have no sand trucks. They have nothing. At least in Dallas, they have like sand trucks. They don't even have that down. They have nothing. So I got to Baton Rouge, and I got across the river, and it started snowing. And I got up on 190, got to Opelousas, went up I-49, and yeah, it was chaos, man. You had a lot of guys. You had a local driver I ran into that ran between Baton Rouge and Alexandria every night. And yeah, he was pretty, and it was one of those things, right? Like, I started getting close to him, and he was driving pretty slow, and he was saying something on the radio, you know, he was talking to somebody. He wasn't having a good day or a good night. So I went to go around him, and he gets on the radio and says, "Oh Lord, what are you doing? What are you doing?" I said, "Calm down, take it easy, going around you." Yeah. "Oh no, don't, please." I said, "Man, look, I'm just going to ease around you, and I'll be gone. Just relax, keep your foot off the brake, you'll be fine." Eased on around. I wasn't going that fast either. I wasn't being a super trucker, but I mean, he was going really, really slow. I mean, almost dangerously slow. But I get it. He's from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. You know, you don't get a lot of snow. But I got on around him, and sure enough, we had a driver stuck over in Hammond because she didn't get across the river in time. She decided to stop. She goes, "Well, I decided to stop at Petro because I was tired, and then I got stuck on the other side because they shut the bridge down." I said, "Yeah." I said, "Man, I don't care if I had to prop my eyelids open with toothpicks. I'd have got myself across that river." Because I knew they were going to do that. They're going to shut it down. Because they have no equipment to clean it off. They have no sand trucks to even give you any traction. They have nothing. They just got to wait till the next day when it gets above freezing, and it'll thaw out. Happens occasionally. When I was a kid, I remember we were going to school. We lived just across, well, a few miles across the river from Baton Rouge, and we got a little, so it didn't even stick, but it's just the fact that flakes were falling, and so they shut the school down. much a rookie at that point. I think I've been driving less than a year or so. And I was in this little town early in the morning, and I was looking for a street, and then it snowed overnight. All the street signs were covered. Every one of them. And this is before Google Maps, GPS, any of that. Before the internet. All I had was directions. You know, I wrote down. I called them and got directions. And I passed. I went all the way through town. I'm like, well, I must have passed it. And I stopped. There was a pig farm. I pulled up in this pig farm. It's early in the morning. And this guy and his wife were out there wearing the overalls and everything. I mean, it was, yeah, they were pig farmers. You know. And I was like, hey, you know, I'm looking for this place. He said, oh, yeah, I know where it's at. And I said, yeah, I couldn't see the signs. And he's like, once you pass this intersection, or this red light, he said, it's like the 3rd street. Just count the streets. 3rd street, make a left. I said, okay. He had to throw some salt down for me to be able to get back out. Nice guy, nice people. But anyway, I found it. Whatever. First world problems. But for me, it was a major ordeal. I mean, I didn't freak out about it or anything. It's just couldn't find where I think I was delivering. And I couldn't find it. And I remember I was empty, going somewhere to pick a load up after that. And there was a truck on a little hill. It wasn't a huge hill, but it was a hill. And he was spun out. And I wasn't smart enough to realize to just go around him. Because obviously the guy was okay, he was just spun out. There was nothing I could do for him. I didn't even have chains, I don't think. And I stopped. And I shouldn't have stopped. If I would have kept going, I'd have got over the hill. But I stopped, and that was it. And, you know, we finally both got going. But I was a rookie. I was still wet behind the ears. And the thing is, it doesn't matter where you're from. You got guys that are from Wyoming or Michigan or Wisconsin. Driving a truck in this kind of weather and driving a regular vehicle is 2 different things. So unless you've done it in a big truck, it's different. You know, if you just started driving last week and say, well, I'm from Wisconsin, but it's a different world. It's a different story, man. There's different techniques. Live in the Texas Panhandle, we get snow, and most people have 4x4 pickups, but the guys who don't, you know, they'll throw some railroad ties or something in the back, something to give them a little weight, you know, because it's the same there too. The more weight you have on your drive axle, you know, obviously the better. Talked about this before too. A lot of guys will say, oh, you can't use your Jake brakes in the snow. You shouldn't put them on full, but like on the Dalton, we would going down Adigan or something, you're going to use your engine brakes. We'd put them on 2nd stage. In the winter, in the summer, you'd put them on full, but in the winter you'd put them on 2nd stage and just go down a little slower. Come on, man, I dim my lights. place in Colorado where they had any areas where they would have a chain law was usually west of Denver on I-70. You had areas on I-25 south and north, but mainly I-70 is west of Denver. Now in the past, I don't know, decade or so, they have made an area east of Denver on I-70 where they have chain up areas. I really don't understand. It's relatively flat. I mean, yeah, they do have some hills, but I don't really understand, unless they had a lot of spin outs on some of the hills or something. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, if you go west of Denver on I-70 and you have no intention on putting on chains, then watch the weather. Do not go west of Denver and then say, well, I'm just going to blow through without chains, even if they have the chain up law. Because what you're going to do is, every time you guys do that, you make the rest of us look like idiots when you spin out on the hills up there in the mountains. And they've cracked down. They have really cracked down over the years for that reason. Guys are shutting I-70 down because they'd get partway up and spin out and have no chains. They have no chains on. They may have chains in the truck. They don't have them on. It doesn't do you any good sitting in your side box. Don't do it. Just park. Or don't go. Because you really make the rest of us look like idiots. Because it ends up on the news. You know, several trucks shut down I-70 because they ignored the chain law. And that's why the state of Colorado started cracking down. Because of that. Because the guy's doing that. Chain up and you still spin out, oh well, I mean, you know, it happens. But you got chains on. They can't get you for not having chains. I think all trucks should come with full lockers, but most of them don't. And most companies aren't going to spend the money to put full lockers on their trucks. Now, most oil field trucks have full lockers, and of course Alaska trucks have full lockers, and there are some companies out here who have full lockers on their highway trucks. I think they all should have full lockers. You may not ever have to use them, but if you do, it helps. And if they're set where you can go like up to 65, 70 mile an hour, you know, it really helps. Like most of the Alaska trucks, if you have what they call the haul road specs on there, I believe you can go up up to 70 mile an hour, which you're not going to get up to 70 mile an hour on the haul road, but still, you can go that fast before they kick out. Whereas most trucks, they kick out at 35 or something like that. Now, I'm not advocating you drive that fast with your lockers in. Although, contrary to popular belief, you're not going to ruin your axles if you go down the road for a while with your lockers in. I don't recommend it, but I've seen people talk about it, freaking out about, oh, I just realized I went 15 miles with my lockers in. Is my rear end shot, or what? No. If your rear ends were shot, you'd know it. But of course, you had people in the comments, oh yeah, you never do that. Oh yeah, you're in trouble now. But you also have to be careful where you use them. Like, you don't use full lockers going downhill, because it'll push you and it'll make you jackknife. So you get to the top of a hill, you take them out and you turn off your traction control. Don't run your traction control down the hill either. You want as little power to the drives as possible. We had a guy when I was in Alaska that was running his lockers down Adigan, and he jackknifed. He's lucky he jackknifed where he did, where there was a wide spot. Luckily he didn't do it a little further down and ended up going off the mountain. That would have been bad. Looks a little thinner on the road through here. I wonder if we're getting out of where the storm came through. Although it was just snowing back there. No, it's snowing now, so I can see it now in my headlights. I can also tell on the side they've plowed this, so maybe that's why. I remember going across Kentucky, excuse me, and it was snowing pretty hard, and I was clipping along. I wasn't going that fast, and I had like 4 or 5 trucks ended up behind me running back there. There again, bunch up like that, but I was in the front, so really didn't care. And after a few miles, I had a guy get on the radio and say, got every right to get in that left lane and go around me and go. Go for it. And he never would. And I'm like, my girlfriend at the time, I wasn't married then. My girlfriend used to ride with me. And I said, you see how these guys are? They're all super truckers. You know, they like to talk big on the radio. And I'm no super trucker, I can tell you that right now. I am not. Never claimed to be. And I wasn't being a super trucker that night. I was running, I think the speed that I should have been running for the conditions of the highway. And this guy wanted to, bump his gums on the radio, but he didn't want to go jump out and pass me. Talk a big game, but most of the week I just eat meat and some vegetables. But yeah, carbs gave me some weird dreams. Call this video a snowy morning in Colorado. That's the only thing I don't like about snow is it slows you down. I still prefer it over fog though. Don't like not being able to see. With that, on that rough area right there. Yeah, there's the road. Me thinking I was over on the other side, but I'm not. I can see the rumble strips on the right side, so I can see the rumble strips in the middle. So I might have a plow up here. Pull out, do it now, or wait. That's that dairy. Maybe he's gonna wait. Yeah, he's gonna wait. I hope he's gonna wait. Hope he's gonna wait, because it's now too late. Milk on an icy road. Where there's no baffles in those tanks, man. Where that stuff throws you around as it is. You used to see guys on the haul road that would get stuck on Adigan, even with chains on sometimes, because even with baffles, unless that tank is completely full, and most of the time they're not, because of weight reasons, you start going up the hill and all that liquid starts going back, and then you don't have the weight on your drives, right? And you lose traction real easy. Yeah, there's a plow. Let me slow down. let's see, we're almost to the interstate. I'll see the interstate out there in the distance. May just stay behind this guy. He's actually moving pretty fast for a plow. I was going to go around them, but area, which is at the interstate. I'll just wait. Patience is a virtue. Sometimes it's a virtue I don't have. See, I'm on the other side of the rumble strip again. He's got that little trailer on the back that, you know, they got that little back that they can move back and forth, and it plows and dumps salt. Pretty cool. I think I read somewhere where Kentucky bought a bunch of those. That way you can do both lanes at the same time. Broke down, he's got his triangles out. That sucks. See where he's going to go. Is he going to go off, or is he going to go all the way onto the interstate? somebody up here plowing the interstate, so this guy's probably going to hit a crossover and go back. I'm assuming. Job. Yeah, there he goes. He's going all the way across. There's a crossover right there. It's a pretty dangerous job because those guys get slammed into a lot by people not paying attention. Yeah, there he goes. I-76. Roads icy and snow-packed in areas. Really? Stay back for snow clouds. I'd have never guessed that the road was snow-packed and icy. Oh, that must be where he turned around because the road went to crap. That must have been him going the other way, and there's another one. Ah, well. And for guys who say, well, these guys don't know what they're doing because they always leave a little snow on the road, they do that on purpose. That's for traction. You don't want to scrape it down to the pavement because what you end up with is a layer of ice. So you want to leave a little snow for traction. If you're in your lane or not. You just take a wild guess by the width of the road. And every once in a while you'll see a line. Anyway, we've gone over an hour. I guess I should end this. Hopefully the rest of the day is just as boring. Looks like the precipitation has stopped, so maybe I'll run out of this eventually. Well, I know I will eventually. Hopefully we have no issues with anyone. Last time I was driving in the snow in Nebraska, on my way to South Sioux, on a 2-lane road, I had some nut in a pickup truck come flying toward me. Pickup truck sideways, he's sliding sideways. You'd think he'd slow down. Nope, he just stayed in it. He finally got it straightened out before he got up to me, because I'm thinking, if this guy hits me, I'm gonna beat him, man. I'm gonna go to jail for assault, because that's ridiculous. You're coming down a 2-lane road, you see traffic coming the other way, you don't even bother to try to slow down, and you're sideways in both lanes. But some people just like that. But I'm sure if you asked him, he'd tell you how great of a driver he is. coming up in front of me here. Well, probably still got another 3-4 hours before that happens. Probably another 3 hours. As flat as Nebraska is, though, it comes up with a vengeance, man, right in your face. There's nothing to block it. Scales are open. Alright, I'll go ahead and end this. Getting boring and I don't really know what else to say. And I don't think you want to just watch me just go down the road. I mean, maybe you do and that's great, but I don't know. Anyway, I appreciate you watching. We'll see you next time.